BBC News at 6 o'clock. This is Vigialis. Good evening. The Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, has refused to commit to putting more money into public services, prompting one union to say they can't spot the difference between his party and the Conservatives. The British-born actor and singer Jane Birkin has died. We'll look at the life of the woman whose work was once seen as too racy for the BBC. And
a backhand passing winner from Carlos Alcaraz, who breaks Novak Djokovic 3 times in that set, wins it by 6-1.
We'll have the latest from the Wimbledon final, where the world number one, Carlos Alcaraz, is involved in a thrilling contest with Novak Djokovic. The Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, has refused to commit to more public spending if he wins the next election, despite one trade union saying it was now difficult to distinguish between his party and the Tories. He told the BBC's Sunday with Laura Kuenssberg programme that even at the risk of being labelled fiscally conservative, he would defend Labour's emphasis on the economy. Here's our political correspondent, Georgia Roberts.
With the economic climate so difficult for many and polls suggesting a Labour lead, Sir Keir was pressed on his party's approach to government. On public services, he said Labour would always invest in them, but wouldn't commit to spending more. Instead, he stressed the need for economic growth.
We've now had 13 years of this government, more or less. We've had 13 years of the last Labour government. Last Labour government grew the economy and had tens of billions of pounds more to spend on our public services. That's what I want to replicate, to grow our economy, so we've got that yield to put into our public services. But that has to start with responsible economics, and it has to be coupled with reform.
On the 2-child benefit cap, which largely restricts child tax credit and universal credit to the first 2 children in a family, he confirmed it wouldn't be scrapped. This was despite him calling for its abolition when he was running for Labour leader, and pressure from some in his party to do so. On public sector pay strikes, he refused to spell out what approach he would take, saying this was the government's problem, but he said Labour would get round the negotiating table. Sir Keir is pushing a message of responsible economics coupled with reform, but some, especially the unions, want him to be bolder. The head of the RMT transport union, Mick Lynch, told Sky News that Sir Keir should show he was on the side of working people.
Keir Starmer and his team have got to show some clear water, some clear red water, between themselves and the Daily Mail and the Telegraph, and themselves and the Conservatives. And at the minute, many people can't spot the difference, and that's a shame. For somebody who's probably as talented as Keir Starmer is, he's got to show that he's on the side of working people and progressive politics, and I don't think we're seeing that.
The Trade Secretary, Kemi Badenoch, stressed the government's focus was halving inflation and cutting taxes.
What we are focusing on is bringing down inflation. That is the thing that is having the most impact on people's disposable income.
The Liberal Democrats said investing in local services was key. For Sir Keir, facing down some of the noisier demands to be more radical on things like the economy is a price worth paying to make Labour electorally credible again, even if it repels some on the left of the party. Whether or not families feel better off will dominate debate at the next general election. But there will be a crucial test of the public mood this week in 3 by-elections, where all parties will hope for a good showing.